Hey everyone, welcome to Judging for the Win. I'm Dave, and this is my daily ruling. Today's question comes to us from a viewer. Thanks to Jamie Abengochea for this one. Amy attacks with Blightsteel Colossus. Nick blocks with Fogbank. How many -1/-1 counters are put on Fogbank? How many poison counters does Nick get? Alright, so there are two turn-based actions that happen in the combat damage step. One where the combat damage gets assigned, and another where the combat damage actually gets dealt. We're going to need to know a little bit of detail about both of these steps in order to figure out exactly what's going to happen in this situation. First, let's talk about what happens when the combat damage gets assigned. Blightsteel Colossus has 11 power, which means that it assigns 11 combat damage. Now, because Blightsteel Colossus has trample, that means that Amy does not have to assign all 11 combat damage to the blocking creatures. Rather, she only has to assign lethal damage to all the blockers before she can assign the rest to Nick. Now, when the game is trying to decide what counts as lethal damage, it does not take into account any effects or abilities that might reduce the amount of damage that actually gets dealt. So that means that when Amy is assigning this 11 damage, she only needs to assign 2 of it to the Fogbank. The other 9 can go right to Nick. Actually, because of how trample is worded, this is not the only legal option for Amy. It's possible for her to divide that 11 damage as she chooses between Fogbank and Nick in any way that she wants, as long as the Fogbank gets at least 2 damage. However, there's not really a clear reason why she would want to do something like this, so from now on, we'll just assume that she put 2 damage on the Fogbank and 9 on Nick. Alright, so that's what happens when the combat damage gets assigned. Now let's talk about what would happen when the combat damage gets dealt. So, it's pretty obvious what's going to happen for Nick. He's taking 9 damage from a source with Infect, so he would be getting 9 poison counters. The Fogbank is a little bit of a different story though. It's not immediately intuitively obvious what would happen when the prevent all combat damage ability from Fogbank interacts with the damage turning into -1/-1 from Infect on Blightsteel Colossus. Fortunately, the comprehensive rules have our back on this one. Anytime something is going to be dealing damage in the game processes that damage using a 4-step sequence. For our purposes, Step 2 and Step 3 are the only important steps. Step 2 is where the damage officially gets dealt, and this is also where prevention effects and redirection effects can apply. Step 3 is where the damage that's been dealt gets processed into its results. So this would be where the Infect damage gets turned into -1/-1 counters or poison counters as appropriate. Notice though that this happens after Step 2, which means that by the time that the game is ready to turn the Infect damage into -1/-1 counters, it's already been prevented by the Fogbank's ability. So this is the answer to our original question. The Fogbank will have 0 -1/-1 counters placed on it because all the combat damage that would be dealt to it is going to get prevented before the -1/-1 counters happen. Nick will be taking anywhere from 0 to 9 poison counters depending on how much damage Amy assigned to Nick during the damage assignment. And that's all I have for you today. How did you do? Join me again next time for another daily ruling, but until then, I hope you have a great day.